a pleasure meeting you. So, Ray Liotta, the second season of your NBC show Shades of Blue is just about to wrap up on NBC. I want to start by asking, after the first season, what was the attitude of you and everybody involved going into the second season?
Well, we were excited, and we did the show, and then months go by. They're doing all the post production, and then it once it hits the air, you find out if people, you don't know if people are going to like it or tune in or not. And we got a really nice audience. And what's even nicer is, as we're heading towards the end of the second season, the ratings and people, it's rising. So people are kind of catching it now. And there's I guess, like a lot of shows that happens to, it takes a while for them to get to the point of it ringing in. But the first season, we were excited about it. But and everything. So we were really pleased, really happy. We're shooting our third season now.
Right. So tell us a little bit about who Matt Wozniak is, the character that you play on this show.
The character I play, sexual cop who married with a kid. My daughter killed herself because of something that I did. So he's got a lot of guilt and trouble, but he's very paternal with his group, and especially with Harlee, who's played by Jennifer Lopez, because she came into my life right after my daughter killed herself. So, but he's very tough, will do anything to get what he wants, and crosses the line more times than not.
Mm-hmm. You bring up the family, your family, and I think that's an interesting dynamic between you and Jennifer Lopez, because she's almost like a surrogate daughter to you. Can you talk a bit about that?
Exactly. But like I said, my daughter killed herself. We had a fight, and we never got along. She was a drug addict, and one day I said something to her. She misread what I said. I missaid what I wanted to say, and she killed herself. So I'm living with that guilt. At the same time, Harlee, Jennifer, did something. She was a cop dressed in blue, and she was getting abused by her husband. She then said her husband, there was a murder. She put the murder weapon into her husband's car, or her boyfriend's car, and made it look like he did it. I was the officer in charge of that that incident, and I just saw what she did, and I just felt like she just reminded me of my daughter, and I just got closer with her, and I also knew that she would cross the line, which was good for what I wanted to do. But she's really somebody that I truly, truly love and will do anything for to protect. Even though, like the first season, she turns out she was ratting on us because she got popped by the FBI. And even after that, we were estranged for a while, but I still come back to her because I just love her like a daughter.
Right. The show does such an expert job of portraying these characters kind of straddling both sides of the law, particularly with your character. Is Matt always trying to do the right thing in some sense of the word, even though his actions might be a bit dubious and on the side of corruption?
Yes, the little slice of Brooklyn that my crew was in charge of. My philosophy was, if you know there's going to be bad things out there, but if you corral it in a way and just let, whether they're drugs or it's gambling, I try to minimize the bad so I can control it, and in that way, in Matt's way of thinking, he's doing good for the neighborhood, because there's no way that people are not going to do what people do, good or bad. So I try to like I said, corral or make things good even for the bad people, and hopefully that at the heart of it, though, he wants to help people. He really is a good cop. He just crosses the line.
Within the narrative of this show, I mean, it takes advantage of the serialized narratives that are predominant in television drama today. What are some of the developments, some of the changes that Matt undergoes in this season from the end of season one up through where we are now, that were particularly of interest to you?
Wow, that's an interesting question. In terms of like this season, what's
I'm sorry, I lost you. Are you still there?
she didn't really give him what he wanted. We end up a Brinks truck that has drug money. Somebody sets it up, and it's just something I want to do. So our crew, so Harlee could send her daughter to the best school, so my crew could have extra money. So we're crossing the line there. It goes bad, and at the end of the day, I take the blame instead of Harlee taking it. She's got her daughter. There's a lot of guilt that I have about what I do. So I take the blame. And then this season, we're going on into the FBI now has me doing things that they want because there's a certain person who's a politician played by Anna Gunn this year. And to get her because he feels the FBI guy feels that Anna Gunn did something that made his partner that why his partner got killed. He thinks it's because of Anna. So there's that dynamic. There's the mafia connection with Anna because she's a politician. She becomes friends with the mafia guy. So there's a lot of bad things going on relationship wise. My wife finds out through the FBI guy who will do anything to get what he wants. Because I go after him so hard, he tells my wife about my being bisexual. My wife confronts me about it. So obviously there goes my family life. It's I loved my son and my wife, but it just goes haywire. And then towards the end, I'm learning lessons. I'm grieving. I'm begging for forgiveness. Slowly, it stops unraveling itself.
Mm-hmm. You guys shoot this in New York City, so which is familiar territory to you. You've done a lot of movies there. What does shooting in that city add to the story?
Just the reality of what New York is, the feel, the locations. I mean, we do have a studio, but most of the stuff is on the streets, and you just the look of it. It's a set in itself. You don't have to build it. And some of the buildings that we go into or that they find and then make it viable for our show. There's just no place like New York. The energy, the feel, the weather. Uh, you hear it a lot that people say that the atmosphere is like a character in the show, but really is in this case. New York really is a character in this show.
You've had such a long and great career. I just wanted to ask you about a couple of highlights from it, particularly Goodfellas. It's really interesting to see you playing this cop when you're probably best known for playing Henry Hill from that movie. 27 years on, that's still a movie that people adore, and it's a lot of people's favorite film. What does it mean to you to have been a part of a film that has such a great legacy?
It's it's unbelievable. Bogart, who said this, that if you make one movie that stands the test of time, that's unbelievable and great. If you have two, which I think Field of Dreams has a long has a life too, but maybe not as big as Goodfellas, but it definitely is one of those movies that I still hear about and people still respond to. But Goodfellas is people ask me sometimes, or am I tired, or do I feel like because I did Goodfellas, it's limiting in some way, and it's the total opposite. It's coming up the stairs here where everybody every day I have somebody who had mentioned Goodfellas. I have kids, 13, 14-year-old kids whose dad turned them on to the show, to Goodfellas. And they're coming up to me as if like it just came out that weekend. They get really impressed by it, and it really has standed the test of time. It's still around in people's minds.
It was certainly an influential movie for me and a lot of people in my generation. Um, Another one that is a personal favorite of mine is Something Wild, the movie that you did with Jonathan Demme, which you got a Golden Globe nomination for. I wonder if you could talk a bit about the experience of that movie and about working with the late Jonathan Demme.
Yeah, he was a great, great guy. What happened? It's a little bit of a story. I was going to acting class. I was on a soap opera. I quit the soap opera here in New York when I was 25 years old. I moved to LA, and for 5 years, nothing happened. I had a couple guest shots, a couple failed series, but nothing was really happening. But I was in acting class. I said, I'm just going to keep studying and studying and studying and quote unquote making my instrument stronger and better. Because all we do is imagination, and imagination is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Well, guys in that acting class asked me if I was up for this movie Something Wild, and I wasn't. So I went to my agent, and they just weren't powerful enough to get me in. Melanie Griffith was married to this guy Stephen Bauer, who was Al Pacino's best friend in Scarface. Uh, so he was married to Melanie. Melanie was already cast in the movie along with Jeff. I was home. My parents were very involved in politics. They said, "Oh, Stephen or Melanie, you know them. Maybe that could help." And I said, "No, no, I don't want to do it that way. That's not the way to do it." But I'm sitting there, and I said, "You know what? I really want to do it." I read the script. I really felt like I could do what was needed in it. So I sat and with the butterflies in my stomach, called Melanie up. Melanie said, "Sure, sure," because she had when she had a bad experience with someone that she worked with before, Something Wild. So Jonathan gave her the opportunity or the to have a say in the casting. When she called Jonathan, Melanie, I'm down to three people. This has been an extremely long process. I can't see anybody else. I'm trying to decide between these three people. She said, "You said that I could have something to say about this. I think Ray would be right for it." Uh, she thought, but I also thought she was exercising the liberty that he gave her to say something. So he said, "Okay, fine." I go and meet him on a Monday to talk to him. So I was so used to getting turned down by casting agents. At least when I went, okay, I met Jonathan. Uh, and I left, and I felt good. He saw me and out the movie. Then I left. Tuesday, I get a call. Says, "Ray, will you come in and read with an actress a couple scenes from the movie?" I said, "Great." I'm studying. I'm doing, getting ready for Wednesday. I go and do the scene with the actress that they hired. It wasn't Melanie. It was just somebody else. And I did this scene and felt really good about what I did. Then comes Thursday. That's why. So I left. I said, okay, if they're going to turn me down, they saw what I did, then I'm just not right for it. But at least I got a chance to show, what I could do. Thursday, I get a call, and they say, will you come in on Friday to read, to do some scenes with Jeff Daniels? I said, oh my God, this is great. I'm going to go do things with Jeff Daniels. That night, I'm watching Johnny Carson. Jeff Daniels is on the show, and he's talking about Jack, and he's talking about Woody, and he had just done Purple Rose of Cairo, and in terms of endearment. And I'm saying, oh my God, I got to go read with this guy tomorrow. He just worked with like these legends. So I'm doing push-ups. I'm looking at my script. I'm doing push-ups, doing more homework, doing more push-ups, and Friday, I just had done what my acting teacher said and was really prepared. I had done my homework, and I went and did the scenes with Jeff. And, as an actor, if you did a good job, you have to be self-aware because, you can't. Anyhow, I felt like, all right, boom. I felt really good what I did with this. Now, if they're going to turn me down, fine. At least it's not by somebody who has an opinion, but I'd rather be turned down, to watch what I have to do before you turn me down. That Saturday, I get a call. They say, Jonathan's leaving on Sunday. Will you go and meet with him? Where are you? You're in LA?
I am, yes.
Hugo's on Santa Monica Boulevard, in West Hollywood. We'll meet him there. I go to Hugo's. It was Super Bowl Sunday, and Jonathan just wanted to talk. And he said, this has been a very long process, and I'm glad that you came in. I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to think about this, and I will know by the middle of the week what decision I'm going to make. So I go home. To me, the middle of the week is an hour later. Then Monday comes. Obviously, it's not the middle of the week, but remember, I'm 30 years old now. I haven't done a movie and was running out of money that I used from the soap. Tuesday comes, nothing. Wednesday comes. That's the middle of the week as far as I'm concerned, nothing. Call on Thursday morning and said, Jonathan wants to talk to you. Will you be home around 2:00? I said, yeah, I'll be home around 2:00. And I got the call. He said, Ray, in my movie. So he gave me the part, and I hung up the phone, and I literally cried. I was so happy, so relieved, so filled with, wow. See, I knew I was kind of like on the right path, and all the studying that I did, and that's how I got it. So sorry it's such a long story, but for any actor who's listening to this, perseverance is really what it's about. That and studying and making sure your instrument is ready for when go time comes. Same thing happened with Goodfellas, but in a whole different way. I was the first person that met Marty, but I didn't find out that it was mine till almost a year later after I had met him.
Wow, really? Well, could you? I wonder, since you brought that up again, what the experience of working with Scorsese was like, especially on a movie that he had so much personal relation to.
What was it like working with Marty?
Yes.
It was just unbelievable because one, I had the privilege of working with Jonathan Demme, and he was a director's director. He really was, he's up there with a lot of these other directors. With Marty, it was like I felt like I can go to the top of a building and jump, and I know he would get me. I knew whatever I did, it was all going to be put together in a way. Because it's Marty Scorsese. And at first, De Niro wasn't cast. Joe was. From what I hear, they wanted me, but Warner Brothers, they would have rather had Eddie Murphy than me because the Dreams hadn't come out yet. Um, but Marty, from what I heard, was always thinking of me. And I saw him at the Venice Film Festival. I was there with a movie, Dominic and Eugene, that came after Something Wild. And I had met, I was there with my dad, and I saw Marty in the midst of a lot of people because he had bodyguards around him because he had just done Last Temptation of Christ. Well, I saw Marty, and I hadn't seen him in months. So I ran down the stairs in the middle of the lobby. I go towards, I just want to say more. I just wanted to get into his face so he would remember me and maybe it would work. And the bodyguards, they all pushed me away and get away. And I said, no, 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 no. I just want to talk to Marty. And he said that was the moment he knew that I was going to play Henry Hill because of the way I reacted. He thought I was more like the guy from Something Wild that would have gotten aggressive, pushed them away. And I was kind of like, no, no, no. Henry was just a nice guy who stays on the outside, but still, I didn't have it. And then Marty saw Bob at a party. They were talking. What are you doing next? I'm doing this movie, Goodfellas. I'm having trouble casting this part, Jimmy Burke. Bob saying, that's the movie where this, and that happens. He said, yeah. And then Bob says, and this happens and that happens. And he said, Marty says, yeah, yeah, yeah. Really having trouble with it. Bob said, let me tell. I want to read the script. He read the script. Called Marty, said he wanted to do it, and boom. As soon as Bob was in, Warner Brothers had their marketing, because they hadn't done anything for 10 years since Raging Bull. So then I got same thing, a call. Marty's going to call you. These big shots, they have people to call you to let them know that they're going to call you. So again, they said, I waited for the call, got it, and that was another gusher moment. The pressure of wanting it. Not for any other, because I didn't know that it would have like the legs and be what it is now. But the part was unbelievable, and to work with Martin Scorsese along with Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro, who I knew from from all the '70s movies, because I never really wanted to be an actor until college. But that's a whole other long story. So it was in the '70s when I went to college. So when I got interested in acting, all the movies that I watched were just the '70s movies, which was a great period of time of movie making. So I'm very chatty.
To say the least. Well, Ray Liotta, thank you so much. And have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.